Welcome to History Unveiled, where we take you through the vast expanse of human history, from the first civilizations to the modern world. In this video, we will explore how different cultures, empires, and historical figures have shaped the world we live in today. Buckle up as we journey through time, uncovering the mysteries and milestones of our shared past. The dawn of civilization, prehistory to 5000 BCE, the beginnings of human society. Our journey begins at the dawn of humanity. Long before written history, humans lived as hunter-gatherers, moving from place to place in search of food. But around 12,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. The Neolithic Revolution. Humans began to domesticate plants and animals, transitioning from a nomadic lifestyle to settled agricultural communities. This change laid the foundation for permanent settlements and the eventual rise of civilizations. The rise of Mesopotamia. The first known civilization emerged in Mesopotamia, in the region known as the Cradle of Civilization, around 3500 BCE. Located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this fertile land became the birthplace of Sumer, the first urban civilization. The Sumerians developed cuneiform writing, which allowed them to record laws, trade transactions, and religious texts. Their cities, like Ur and Lagash, became centers of culture and politics. The Sumerians built monumental ziggurats, stepped pyramids dedicated to the gods. These religious structures were central to Sumerian life, reinforcing the connection between divine authority and earthly power. The Sumerians also created the first known legal code, the Code of Hammurabi, establishing the concept of law that would influence future societies. Ancient Egypt, the gift of the Nile. To the southwest, the civilization of ancient Egypt blossomed along the Nile River. Around 3100 BCE, King Menes united Upper and Lower Egypt, marking the beginning of the Old Kingdom. Egypt's stable geography and fertile soil allowed for the creation of a society that would endure for over 3 millennia. The Egyptians are perhaps best known for their pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, which stood as a symbol of their technological and architectural prowess. Religion was central to Egyptian life, and the pharaohs, considered divine rulers, built tombs and monuments that reflected their belief in an afterlife. The practice of mummification was developed to ensure that the deceased would live on in the afterlife, and the Egyptian hieroglyphic writing system preserved their history and religious practices for millennia. The Indus Valley Civilization. To the east, in the Indus Valley, modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, a civilization known for its advanced urban planning flourished. The Indus Valley Civilization, around 2500 BCE, was home to cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, which had grid-like streets, drainage systems, and public baths. Despite their sophisticated society, the Indus people left behind few written records, and their script remains undeciphered to this day. The civilization eventually declined, possibly due to environmental changes or invasions, but its legacy continues to influence the cultures of South Asia. Early China and the Shang dynasty. On the other side of the world, the Shang dynasty in China, around 1600 BCE, was laying the foundation for Chinese civilization. The Shang people were skilled in bronze work and ancestor worship, using oracle bones to communicate with the gods. This practice of divination would continue to influence Chinese society for centuries. The Shang dynasty established many traditions that would later define Chinese culture, including the concept of a centralized monarchy and respect for ancestors. The rise of empires, 500 BCE to 500 CE, the Greek Golden Age. As we move into the first millennium BCE, Greece emerged as a beacon of culture, philosophy, and democracy. The Greek city-states, particularly Athens, were the birthplace of democracy. a form of government that gave citizens the power to shape their own society. The philosophers of Athens, such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, laid the foundations for Western philosophy. Greek culture also influenced mathematics, with figures like Pythagoras and Euclid making revolutionary advancements. The Greeks are also remembered for their art and literature, producing some of the most iconic works of the ancient world, such as Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. The Roman Empire. Just to the west, Rome was on the rise. Initially a small city-state, Rome expanded its territories through military conquest and political alliances. The transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire came with the rise of Julius Caesar and later Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Under Augustus and his successors, the Roman Empire expanded to dominate much of the known world, from Britain to North Africa and Asia Minor. The Romans are known for their innovations in engineering, building roads, aqueducts, and monumental structures like the Colosseum. Their legal system, particularly Roman law, became the basis for legal systems in many Western nations. The Persian Empire. Meanwhile, to the east, the Persian Empire was consolidating power. Under Cyrus the Great and his successors, the Persians built one of the largest empires in history. They introduced a system of governance based on tolerance and respect for local customs. The Persian Royal Road, a network of highways that connected the vast empire, allowed for efficient communication and trade. Despite their success, the Persians were eventually conquered by Alexander the Great, whose empire spread Greek culture across the east, leading to the Hellenistic period. The Maurya Empire and Gupta Empire. In India, the Maurya Empire, 321 BCE, 185 BCE, was founded by Chandragupta Maurya, unifying much of the Indian subcontinent. The greatest Maurya ruler, Ashoka the Great, is remembered for his promotion of Buddhism and efforts to govern with moral principles. Ashoka's reign marked the spread of Buddhism across Asia, creating a lasting legacy of peace and tolerance. Later, the Gupta Empire, approximately 320 CE, 550 CE, is often referred to as the Golden Age of India. The Guptas oversaw advancements in science, mathematics, and the arts, including the development of zero and the decimal system. The medieval world, 500 CE to 1500 CE, the rise of Islam. In the early 7th century, a new force emerged from the deserts of Arabia, Islam. Founded by Prophet Muhammad, Islam spread rapidly across the Middle East, North Africa, and beyond. The caliphates, particularly the Umayyads and Abbasids, became centers of learning, science, and trade. Section 11. The Byzantine Empire. Meanwhile, in the east, the Byzantine Empire continued the legacy of the Roman Empire. Emperor Justinian oversaw the reconquest of lost territories while also codifying Roman laws in the Justinian Code. The Byzantines preserved much of the knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome and were instrumental in the spread of Christianity through the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Crusades, and the medieval world. In the 11th century, the Crusades were launched by European Christians to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim rule. Though ultimately unsuccessful, the Crusades helped facilitate cultural exchange between Europe and the Middle East. Ideas, technologies, and goods flowed between East and West, leading to the Renaissance several centuries later. The Mongol Empire. In the 13th century, Genghis Khan united the Mongol tribes and created the largest contiguous empire in world history. The Mongols were feared for their military prowess, but they also contributed to the spread of knowledge and trade through the Silk Road. The Renaissance and Modern World, 1500 CE to present. The Renaissance. In the 14th century, Europe entered the Renaissance, a period of great cultural rebirth. Artists, scientists, and philosophers like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Galileo, and Nicolaus Copernicus, the Renaissance and Modern World, 1500 CE to present, the Renaissance. In the 14th century, Europe entered the Renaissance, a period of great cultural rebirth. Artists, scientists and philosophers like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Galileo and Nicholas Copernicus redefined human understanding of art, science and the cosmos. The Renaissance marked the end of the medieval period and the beginning of modern thought. It was a time when classical knowledge from Greece and Rome was revived, setting the stage for the modern scientific method and artistic expression. The printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg, revolutionized communication by making books widely available, helping spread Renaissance ideas across Europe. This era laid the foundation for the Enlightenment, the Age of Exploration, and the Scientific Revolution. The Age of Exploration. In the late 15th century, the spirit of exploration took hold in Europe. Driven by a desire to find new trade routes, Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan embarked on journeys that would forever alter the course of history. Columbus's discovery of the New World in 1492 opened the door to the age of European colonization. The Spanish, Portuguese, British, Dutch and French established colonies across the Americas, Africa and Asia, shaping the global economy for centuries. The Scientific Revolution. The 16th and 17th centuries witnessed a scientific revolution that changed humanity's understanding of the universe. Nicholas Copernicus proposed the heliocentric model of the solar system, challenging the long-standing belief that the Earth was the center of the universe. Galileo Galilei, using the telescope, further validated Copernicus's theory, while Johannes Kepler formulated laws of planetary motion. The Enlightenment thinkers, like Isaac Newton, who formulated the laws of motion and gravity, and René Descartes, who questioned the very foundations of knowledge, laid the groundwork for modern science, philosophy, and mathematics. This revolution set the stage for the technological and intellectual advancements of the modern world. The rise of nations and empires, 1600 CE to 1900 CE. The rise of nation-states. As Europe moved into the 17th and 18th centuries, the concept of the nation-state began to emerge. Powerful monarchies like those of France, England and Spain centralized control, transforming from feudal kingdoms to strong, unified nations. Louis XIV of France, known as the Sun King, epitomized absolute monarchy and centralized power, while Elizabeth I of England established one of the most formidable naval empires. This era also saw the growth of capitalism and colonial empires, driven by trade and the exploitation of new territories. The American Revolution. In 1776, the American colonies revolted against British rule in what became known as the American Revolution. Inspired by Enlightenment ideas about democracy and individual rights, the Americans won independence and established the United States of America. The revolution was a defining moment in world history, as it introduced ideas of liberty, equality, and self-governance that would spread across the globe. The Constitution of the United States, written in 1787, created a new form of government, emphasizing a democratic republic with checks and balances. The French Revolution. In 1789, France was on the brink of collapse. Rising economic inequality, food shortages, and a rigid class system led to the French Revolution. The revolutionaries overthrew the monarchy, executed King Louis XVI, and declared the First Republic. The revolution gave rise to the Reign of Terror, where thousands were executed, including Queen Marie Antoinette. But it also introduced the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity into the political discourse of the modern world. The French Revolution had a profound influence on Europe, leading to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte and the spread of revolutionary ideals across the continent. The Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain in the late 18th century, transformed the world. For centuries, economies were based on agriculture and craftwork. But with the invention of new machinery, such as the steam engine, and advancements in textile production, society shifted towards industrial manufacturing. This revolution brought about rapid urbanization as people flocked to cities to work in factories. While the Industrial Revolution created immense wealth, it also brought challenges such as child labor, harsh working conditions, and environmental degradation. But it also led to technological breakthroughs, such as the telegraph, railways, and electricity that laid the foundation for the modern world. The Age of Imperialism and World Wars, 1900 CE to 1945 CE. The Age of Imperialism. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, European powers expanded their empires across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. This period of aggressive imperialism was driven by economic interests, national rivalries, and a belief in the civilizing mission. The scramble for Africa saw European powers carve up the African continent, while the British Empire expanded its rule in India, leading to the creation of the British Raj. World War I. The 20th century began with great optimism, but tensions were building across Europe. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 sparked World War I. The war saw the use of modern weaponry, such as machine guns, tanks, and chemical warfare, leading to devastating losses. The Allies, including Britain, France, and the United States, fought against the Central Powers, which included Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. World War I resulted in the downfall of four empires: the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, and the German Empire. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 imposed harsh terms on Germany, laying the groundwork for the rise of Nazism and the outbreak of World War II. The Great Depression and rise of fascism. The global Great Depression of the 1930s further destabilized nations around the world. The collapse of markets and the rise of unemployment created a fertile ground for fascist leaders like Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and Emperor Hirohito in Japan. These leaders sought to expand their territories, leading to militarism and eventual aggression. World War II. In 1939, World War II broke out. The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, fought against the Allies, which included the United States, the Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom. The war was the deadliest conflict in human history, with over 70 million people losing their lives. The war brought about pivotal events, including the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were systematically murdered by the Nazis. The war ended in 1945 with the defeat of the Axis powers and the dropping of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender. The Cold War and the Modern World, 1945 CE to present. The Cold War. After World War II, the world found itself divided between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cold War was a period of ideological conflict between capitalism and communism, with each side vying for global influence. The world saw the formation of two rival military alliances, NATO and the Warsaw Pact. The Cold War led to proxy wars in Korea, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. Tensions peaked with the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, where the US and the USSR came close to nuclear war. The Cold War finally came to an end with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, marking the end of communism in Eastern Europe. The digital age and globalization. The end of the Cold War marked the beginning of the digital age. The rapid development of computers, the internet, and mobile technologies transformed economies, societies, and cultures. Today, we live in a highly interconnected world where information travels at the speed of light. The rise of globalization has led to new opportunities, but also new challenges, such as the growing economic inequality. Thank you for watching History Unveiled.